Rollin Thunder at Tropic Falls is the most intense roller coaster in Alabama. This was the second Zamperla Thunderbolt, and specifically is a clone of the prototype at Coney Island. Is this ride better than the original, or does it have some of the same issues? Find out in this review. OA is a large entertainment complex that opened in Foley, Alabama in 2017. One of the focal points of this place is the theme park, which is now known as Tropic Falls. The park opened with a massive ride package from Zamperla. This included 3 roller coasters. The largest was, and still is, Rollin Thunder. This ride is the centerpiece of the theme park. The coaster is smack dab in the center of the park. Then the park has 2 midways running parallel to the track. This creates a ton of kinetic energy whenever the coaster cycles. The ride is quite pretty with a blue track and accent fountains alongside it. And the red and black trains really stand out against that track color. It looks a lot better than the one at Coney Island that just runs alongside a public street. That Thunderbolt opened in 2014. While people loved the forces and layout, people took issues with the comfort. The ride is quite shaky, then the restraints are tight and awkward. Did Zamperla make some changes for Rollin Thunder? Yes. Is it better? That's debatable. In general, I think Rollin Thunder tracks better, but this is still a fairly shaky ride. Most valleys and elements are less jolty than their counterparts on Thunderbolt. However, Rollin Thunder has the single roughest spot between both rides. The entry into a 0G roll has a brutal pothole. It is jarring. On the bright side, you will not get any headbanging because of the restraints. The ride retained the panini press lap bars from Thunderbolt. There's this blocky piece that swivels over your lap, but the shoulder straps are different. Thunderbolt had these soft belts that went over your shoulders. These looked flimsy, but they could be tight like a car seatbelt depending upon your body dimensions, so they could dig into the shoulders of taller riders. Rollin Thunder replaces the soft belts with the harder straps over your shoulders. If you're on the shorter or thinner side, these will not be in contact with you. They could hug your torso if you're on the larger side though, but these are wide enough and positioned such that they should not cause headbanging for most riders. I believe these are the restraints that Zamperla has used in all their Thunderbolt coasters after the prototype, and I do think these are an improvement. These rides do retain the hard plastic seats though, which makes some of the slams more uncomfortable. It is a bummer more padding was not added to the seat itself. I visited on a holiday, yet Rollin Thunder was a walk-on. That is fairly common at Tropic Falls from what I understand. The water park draws heavier crowds than the amusement side. That was even with this coaster using just one of the cars. That is pretty typical at this park, but they will run 2 cars on particularly busy days. Each car oddly holds 9 people, as it is comprised of 3 rows of 3. It is such a strange seating arrangement, but it is great for single riders because there almost always is an extra seat available each cycle. Seating is on a first-come basis once you reach the end of the queue, but operators are happy to let you wait an extra cycle if the row you want is already occupied. I have a slight preference for the back row. Most elements feel similar, but I think 2 of the drops have stronger airtime in the rear row. Once secure, you round a corner. The train briefly parks at the base of a vertical lift. This gives riders time to stare upwards at the 115-foot or 35-meter tall hill, which makes it the tallest steel coaster in the state by a wide margin. The climb is slow, and you'll hear the vehicle clang as it passes through each of the anti-rollbacks, but you can get a neat view of OA Complex if you look sideways. You are then thrown over a 90-degree drop. I do wish Zamperla went beyond vertical like some of their counterparts, but this drop still packs a punch. It offers a fierce ejector pop at the start, but you are quickly pulled back to your seat by a trim brake. This trim occurs shortly after you reach that vertical angle, so the deceleration is abrupt. In back, this is so abrupt that the restraint can jab your stomach, but you do continue to float afterwards as a compromise. In front, the deceleration feels smoother, but you don't get that extra floater airtime. I really wish the trim was closer to the pullout, so the airtime was not as inhibited. The pullout offers some positive Gs, and then you charge through a vertical loop. The train slows down at the apex, offering good hang time. This is probably the ride's smoothest inversion, but it is the tamest one as a trade-off. Still, it's a good inversion. Next is the 0G roll, but before you reach the apex, you have that nasty aforementioned pothole. I dreaded this moment. I felt my spine compress every time the train navigated it. But once you're past that, you get excellent inverted airtime. This subsequent pullout jitters the train once again. Then you cruise through a large wave turn. It is far less extreme than similar elements at RMCs, but it's quick, and you can get a tiny bit of lift in the rear row. This is followed by a far turnaround, a weirdly profiled dive loop. The entry offers an inverted ejector pop. This is a tad jerky, but I am willing to look past that for the power. Then the flip is prolonged, so you stay levitated for some glorious hang time. You then get strong positive Gs as you're pulled downwards. My body often wanted to fold over the restraint. Now it is time for the return run. You fly over a bunny hill. This offers great ejector airtime for all, but there is a trim break on the descent. This abruptly cuts off your airtime. Coney Island's Thunderbolt also has a trim here, but I don't recall it hitting as hard. The second bunny hill on Rollin Thunder offers decent ejector airtime. It may skew a bit more towards floater if you have a solo ride up front, but most times it'll be decent ejector regardless of where you're sitting. I think the airtime is consistently stronger on Thunderbolt though. You then have a rapid corkscrew. This offers laterals and some float. I think this element is extra sweet on the left side though, because there's a kink that jolts you upwards a bit. Next is an off-axis bunny hill. This offers okay floater airtime. This once again is noticeably weaker than Thunderbolt, as that ride still offers ejector airtime comparable to the prior hills. You then hit the brakes and return to the station. Now interestingly, this ride has a separate load and unload platform, even with the modest crowds. You will park there, ending the 2,234 foot or 681 meter long coaster. I already touched on the smoothness, but what about the pacing? I love how fast paced these Zamperla Thunderbolts are. The elements are quick and extreme. The wave turn is the only below average element. Every other element is super satisfying. What would I rate Rollin Thunder? I would give this coaster a 7 out of 10. This is a good coaster. The layout is outstanding in terms of pacing and forces. The vertical drop, ejector airtime hills, and intense inversions all work extremely well. I just wish the ride were more comfortable in terms of the overall train design, restraints, and tracking. Those hold this ride back. This ride's tight restraints and imperfect tracking. At least you won't hit your head, but you may rough up some other body parts. Just to emphasize how good this layout is, if this ride got the Zamperla lightning trains like the ones on Top Thrill 2, this would likely be close to a 9 out of 10. That's how excellent this layout is, and how much the trains and track detract from the experience. I do prefer Coney Island's Thunderbolt, because that ride offers a superior return run and a less violent pothole, but the two coasters are reasonably close in quality. I am curious to see if more rides like this are built, or if Zamperla is going to focus on their lightning line. But Thunderbolt and Rollin Thunder demonstrated that Zamperla knows how to make a wild coaster that stacks up to many other manufacturers element for element. They just had to improve their train design, which again, they did with the lightning train. Those are my thoughts on Rollin Thunder at Tropic Falls. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you agree it's the most intense coaster in Alabama? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.